Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar titled Shattering the Barriers to Invoice Processing Automation. My name is Libby Nickel and I'm a regional manager here at ACOM Solutions. I also have David Adams on the line. David's going to be presenting momentarily, so I'm going to introduce him a bit more in a few minutes. And as you may have noticed, you all have been muted. However, if you do have questions, please type those into the chat box of the GoToWebinar panel over on the right-hand side, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar as time permits. I want to start by saying a quick word about our company. ACOM is a developer and marketer for document output and management solutions, and we've been doing this for about the past 27 years. Today, our focus is to provide a brief educational presentation to provide information that you need to decide if now is the right time for you to automate your invoice processing workflows. We'll address the 3 big obstacles to success and the reasons why small to mid-size businesses have been hesitant to move ahead with automating their invoice processing. We're then going to share what has changed that has shattered these barriers to invoice processing automation, making it no longer an obstacle. And why should you really even bother doing it? We're going to go over what the opportunities are, the costs, and the benefits that you gain. So the reality is, if you've been waiting to implement an automated invoice processing workflow, the time is now. It's really not going to get any better if you wait. If you're looking for a way to reduce staff workload and significantly cut costs in your AP department, this is an opportunity that you all can take advantage of. And in just a few minutes, David's going to go over and show us just how simple these systems can be from the end user's perspective, or those that are processing invoices on a day-to-day basis. So let's jump in and look at some of the obstacles that small to medium-sized businesses run into when attempting to automate invoice processing in the past. One of the biggest obstacles that we've seen in the past was how costly these systems were. Imaging and document management systems used to fall between 6 to 7 figures. But now technology has improved and costs have come down so much so it's like comparing apples to oranges, hence our picture here. With lower entry costs, the solution is easier to cost justify while still delivering the high dollar value. Another obstacle was the long implementation time frame. In the past, you would need a number of consultants on site, and you'd start to see the sweat on the executive's brow as the consultants would stay for a 4th or a 5th or a 6th month. And this long implementation time frame is just too expensive for any company. Now, again, technology has improved, and solutions provide a quick implementation, oftentimes with no consultants and no programming needed. The last obstacle that we talk about is user adoption, and I love this image because we've all been there before. In the past, clunky and hard-to-use solutions would turn into low user adoption rates, therefore resulting in what's called shelfware. But today, solutions provide an easier interface for users, and they often mimic the look and feel that people are used to working with on everyday applications. The look and feel is similar to the end user, and as a result, they're instantly productive, and then the learning curve is typically eliminated. Okay, now I'm going to pass it over to David so he can show us just how simple these solutions can be. And as I mentioned before, introduce David a little bit more. He graduated from Cal State University Long Beach in '89 with a Bachelor of Science in Business Admin and Computer Information Systems, and he's been with ACOM for over 20 years. Currently, David's position is the Channel Sales Support Manager. So with that, David, let me go ahead and give you the reins.
Thank you, Libby. All right. Everyone should see my first invoice capture screen.
Yes, we can.
We'll go through just a simple demonstration of how these applications can be used. The basic concept of document management is to first capture something, then you manage that captured document, and then you integrate the captured documents into the daily activities of the business. A modern document management system allows users to capture documents using a simple, intuitive interface like the one you see here. In the first step of capture, an AP clerk can scan in a paper invoice, and then the software can automatically capture the index fields that a company has decided they want for this particular type of invoice. That invoice, along with the index field data, is automatically stored in the document management system. So then, when that happens, at the second step of manage, the document management system, having received the scanned in invoice, can automatically send an email notification to the first person responsible to approve or reject the invoice. In this case, it's going to be like an AP manager. The AP manager then clicks the link in the email and is brought to the approval screen within the document management system. So from this screen, the invoice can be viewed. They could see it right on screen, so they could make sure that they are approving the correct thing. And then also, they could add additional documents if they needed to the approval process from this button here. They could make a comment, notify somebody if they had a question about the document. They could digitally sign the document if that's a requirement. And they could even enter geocode information if they needed to enter geocoding to this particular invoice. Now, the AP manager can then approve or reject the invoice, and if it's approved, the document management system can then notify the second person in the approval process, in this case maybe like a controller. And they'll also get an email notification, like you see here. They can click the link, and they can come back into the system here, and when they finish the approval process, the invoice then is automatically stored in an approved invoices folder, as you see here. The approval workflows can be designed really for any type of document from within the document management system using this very simple graphical design tool. It doesn't really have to be accounting related. It can really be any type of document that somebody wants to create, and these workflows can be really set up in minutes. Some of the older systems really required a lot of custom programming and really a lot of work to get them done, but these modern systems make it really simple to do. A real-life example of how companies use workflow is demonstrated by a California food supplier. They use a document management system to route and approve their inbound paper invoices. When the invoice comes in, the AP clerk actually enters the invoice into the accounting system and sets the status of it to hold. Then they go ahead and scan in the paper invoice, and they have it route and approve automatically via the electronic process. At the end of the approval process, the invoice is then stored in the system, and then the system will change the hold status within the accounting package to process, and that invoice is actually ready to be paid. The third concept of document management is to integrate the captured documents into the daily activities of a business. An example might be that somebody calls in asking to see a copy of an invoice, and the person needing to locate the invoice could just do a quick electronic search right from their desktop to find the invoice. They could type in the invoice number and bring it right up on screen. From there, they can view the invoice, or as shown here, they could email it out to the person needing to see it, right on the fly, just by pushing a couple buttons. The software also has the ability to allow documents to be looked up from any line of business application, like say an accounting package. This is done by pushing one button to retrieve a document. At the same time that the invoice document is retrieved, the user also has the option to push one button to see all the associated documents to that invoice, like a purchase order, a receiving document, maybe an accounts payable check. So there's a lot of flexibility with these modern systems. This brief demonstration was only one example, really, of how a document management system can be put to use. All different types of documents can be captured, routed, approved, and integrated into the daily activities of a business. With that, I'll turn it back over to Libby.
Thanks, David. Okay, you should be able to see my screen here. Okay, so as David just showed us, a process or automating your invoice process can be extremely simple, and you just saw how you can capture your invoices, put them through an approval process, and search on your invoices quickly and easily, and not only find invoices, but any related documents as well as the overall workflow. So again, why would you bother with automating your invoice processing system? Well, the first one is obviously going to be cost savings. With a more automated system, costs per invoice are typically cut by 40 to 50%. Also, going green. You hear everybody talking about going to a paperless environment these days, and statistics show that paper documents are copied up to 20 times throughout their entire life cycle. So by keeping these documents electronic, you're going to be cutting down on the amount of paper that you all are working with. Also, we talk about dramatically decreasing your cycle times. With a highly automated system, you can take advantage of early cash discounts that you may otherwise not even know about. I know with ACOM, for example, ACOM has multiple locations, and before we automated, we had the remote locations mailing the invoices to our headquarters in Long Beach. And the problem was the invoices would be sent after they'd be sitting on somebody's desk for any number of weeks. So when it actually got to Long Beach, it was actually due. And this was frustrating for the controller to have to push a payment through quickly. But it was also completely eliminated by having remote locations scan in the invoice and therefore kicking off the process. We also talk about increasing productivity and reducing staff workload. There are industry standards, and I believe this was put out there by IOMA, that show that the workload for a staffer in a low automated environment is 1,000 invoices per month. And that can increase by 4 times to around 4,000 invoices a month with a highly automated system. Also, with a system like you just saw, you have much better control over your approval process. And with one click of the button, a controller or anybody for that matter can find an invoice. They can see who approved it and find out exactly what it was for. They can also find any related documents supporting that invoice within that same click of a button. Also, if there's an employee that's out of the office for any time period, the process doesn't get held up because that employee is temporarily away. Another thing to note here is the fact that auditors really like to see a system in place for approval processes. Okay, so we've come to the end. I know that was extremely quick. We're trying to keep them short and sweet here. One thing to mention before we get to the question and answer session here is please do check out our website, www.acom.com. We do have a lot of other webinars that we're hosting monthly, so feel free to register for those, all of them, of course, being free. And then, of course, if you'd like to see a live demonstration by one of our product experts, feel free to contact us at sales@acom.com, or you can jot down in the questions section over in your GoToWebinar panel something to the effect of you'd like to see a demo or something like that. So go ahead and enter your questions here. We're going to answer a couple of them. Give me just 1 second to have a look. Okay, the first question is, what is an average implementation time frame? And David, I'll let you go ahead and take that one.
Okay, thanks, Libby. It really depends. But what we try and do is we try and focus on the critical implementations that you want to get done. Maybe there's 1 or 2 workflow process that you need to get set up. So the actual implementation time can be relatively short, usually within 4 or 5 days. We'll need to gather information from you, the company, and do a little bit of analysis. So maybe the total time is somewhere typically between 2 to 4 weeks with all the with all the implementation and the pre-processing that we do for you.
Okay. Next question here. Let's see. What are the average costs? I'll go ahead and speak to that. Of course, each customer is different because everybody has different requirements. But the good news is that the base license is under $10K for the solutions that ACOM provides, the name of the solution being Easy Content Manager. And again, if you'd like someone to speak to you more about your requirements, then please do let us know. Okay, the next question, are accounting documents the only documents that can be stored in this system? David, I'll let you take that.
No, they are not. I mean, really, the system is flexible enough that you can store any type of document that you want to, route, approve, and manage. I showed kind of an example of an AP invoice because that's a very typical process for a lot of companies. But again, it can be anything that you want to route and approve, store, and manage.
Okay, perfect. Next question, let's see. What kind of savings can I expect to see? And I'll go ahead and speak to that. We talked a little bit earlier about industry standards, And what the average for a low automated process is between $11 and $12 per invoice. And as mentioned, you can cut that by nearly 40 to 50%. So with a highly automated process, the cost is reduced to under $7. And again, this is a study done by IOMA. Okay, in the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and stop there. For any of you that I didn't answer the questions to, thank you so much for asking those, and we will get back with you here within the next few hours or so. Thanks again, and have a great day.